Alright, Black Science TV 111, Osei Kufuor, I'm back at y'all again. I know y'all like this nigga coming to do a video on Easter and April Fools. Nah, I ain't coming to mess with them. Let them live, man. Let them have their peace. But, was just now building with my family. And, my mother asked the question of, is it right for women to preach in the church? Well, if you've been following me, you know how I feel about the church. But to answer her question, I went into her illusionary reality. It gives her peace. So I don't disrespect my mother for whatever she believes in. That's her beliefs. You get what I'm saying? And everybody has a certain dimension that they come up in. But she asked, does a woman have a right to preach? Of course. And I asked her, I said, well, who gives birth to the man to be able to preach? I asked her that question. I said, if all women on the planet, what we call this planet today, was to say, you know what? Since y'all want to be patriarchal, and I'll explain that in a minute, what that is. Since y'all want to be patriarchal, we're going to stop having sex. We're going to stop giving birth to little boys to grow up to be men, to be preachers, to be able to tell us that we can't preach. Everything, you have to check the root of everything. You can't look at the apple and say, this is really the existence of what this seed produced, because without the root, then there will be no foundation for the apple. So without the woman, there will be no foundation for the man to be able to deliver or preach whatever illusionary agenda that he had to the people. You know, and we talked about a lot of things too, as well as, you know, I don't have no problems with the church. It's just that the doctrine that they're preaching, they're teaching it under a weak or a false pretense of a reality so that the people could feel weak about themselves and not see themselves as being a part of the God that they believe in. For an example, if the preacher is called and ordained by God, and God said, you are in my image and likeness, then that means that you're supposed to be hustling like that preacher. You don't supposed to allow the preacher to hustle you. By the time you leave that church, you shouldn't be going home not being able to pay your lights and your water bill. And this preacher got your money. Do you get what I'm saying? Because you can't blame nobody but you after that. Because you took your hard-earned currency and energy and placed it in his pocket, and you think that you're giving 10% to Jesus, but Jesus don't have no banking account. God don't have a banking account. Any pastor watching this video, I need you to contact me and tell me what is the checking account and the routing number of Jesus and God. Because the last time I looked at it, the money that's being printed out is printed by way of the trees. And y'all said God created the earth, so he created the trees, correct? So I think if God needed money, all God have to do is create another thing in nature to be able to do it. So he can surpass the trees. Another thing she asked me, my mother's here too as well. I told her, I said, why is it that we have to keep on saying that God is a he? Now, this is where the patriarch comes in. Now, you can close the door. I keep hearing the dog. You keep hearing he, right? If God is a he, God can walk. They say they heard God walking in the garden. They say God is jealous. I said, I can be jealous. You can hear me walking, and I'm a he. But the question is, did I create my mother? Listen to what I'm saying. I'm a he. I can be jealous, and you can hear me walking, but can I create my mother? So why is God referred to as a he if I come from a person that I can't create? Think about what I'm saying. When you are initiating a church, which is a 501c3, this is to the Christians. Listen, because I'm going to give you a little bit of Sunday school lessons right now. Listen to what I'm saying. When you initiate a 501c3, which is a church is a nonprofit organization. And you have to go to the IRS, which is the Internal Revenue Service, which is connected to the International Monetary Fund System, who initiates wars. They fund both sides of the wars and watch these innocent people get killed. These are the same people who set up your church. This is the bloodline of your church. You have to go to the IRS to get a license to talk about your God in church. Not only that, once you make a certain percentage, you have to report it to IRS, Pastor. But in the Bible, didn't Jesus overturn the tax collector's table for gambling and taxing? So why are you going to the IRS to pay taxes after you make a certain percentage, or even to talk about God? You should be able to breathe God, what we call God. You should be able to hear God. You don't have to go to a place to see the essence of God. If you are in the image and likeness of God, then you are the very essence. You are the very image. You are the very act. You are the very energy, power that you see when you acknowledge God. When you close your eyes, what does God look like to you? What does God look like to you? Somebody with a white beard sitting behind a gate. See, that's the image they painted in their mind. Again, I told you, he who controls the mind has the paintbrush. They can paint the images in your reality, and once you believe in it, your subconscious automatically make it a reality for you, and now you become feared. Your fear goes to something, your energy, fear, goes to something that allows you to be weak. So are you really in the image and likeness of that God? Ask yourself a question. This is why a lot of Christians die with high blood pressure. They die stressed. They die depressed. Because they have to look around, look over their shoulder and wonder, is God watching me do this or God watching me do that? Again, if you're in the image and likeness of God, then you should be watching yourself. Watching yourself and what you do. It's not God you have to look for. It's not something outside of yourself that you have to look at that's judging you. You have to judge yourself. And then that's the metaphysics of you being the judge on the throne. Because you can judge yourself by your actions. If you're doing something wrong and your kids are starving, and you go to church and give your last dollar and your lights go out, that's not being a God. That's being foolish. Sometimes you have to go down into that Lucifer part of you. In the Bible, they say what? Lucifer is the bright morning star. They even said that Jesus was the bright morning star. Why did they make those two comparisons? Because they're one and the same. One balances the other. You ever look at cartoons and you see the conscience of the devil on one shoulder, and you see the angel on the other shoulder telling them, don't do this, it's wrong, and the devil saying, do it. See, they always paint the image in the cartoon, though, at a time where something is going on, and only the higher side of the person who's experiencing these subconscious, they have to use that one. But the other has to be used too. The light bright Lucifer has to be used at times too. Because once somebody come to you and say, you know what? I want your money. God said give me 10%. We got another church coming. We have to give them offering too. And you only got $50 in your account. Your light bill is $20. And you give your whole $50. You have to utilize that Lucifer and say, hell no. You don't have to use the angel. Because the thing is this right here. When you look at religion, religion is a concept of something that is taken out of the universe. It is the concept of something that is taken out of the universe. And I always break it down. You have 12 planets, 12 zodiacs, 12 disciples, 12 o'clock, 12 inches in the foot, right? 12 systems in the brain. And then you have your Christ that they follow, the Christos or the Mythos, M-Y-T-H-O-S. The Christos is what? The sun. The 12 zodiacs follow the sun. In the Bible, the sun is S-O-N. In the universe is S-U-N. So you have the 12 zodiacs, which are the 12 disciples following the sun, S-U-N. It's all metaphysical. So if you're looking at it from a point where these are literal people, then you are going to worship literal people who can't sustain you. I'd rather worship that sun, the S-U-N, than the S-O-N. Well, I've never seen that sun, but I can see that sun. And that sun right there keeps my cells in rotation with the other energies and keep it in balance with all of the light frequencies of the universe that allows my senses to be able to cohabitate with other dimensions that I can't see, hear, or taste from this realm. Because there's other realms that your subconscious can see, But your microscope is your dream world because you can't see it from. So you have to go to sleep to be able to see these other dimensions. So when you go to sleep and you dream, these places are not illusions. These real places you go to. It's not fake. It's not fake. And this is beyond metaphysics and quantum physics. This is the unexplained worlds, the unknown worlds that you are connected to, that you can go to during certain holy days, or what they call holidays. While Walmart is benefiting and all these other corporations is benefiting on these holy days from your energy, which is your currency, right? Y'all will be broke tomorrow. The pastor will be on vacation next week. Somebody's child in church going to be touched. Right? Because they practice at something. And you don't know what it is. Y'all look at me and say, oh, he a Satan worshiper. He practiced voodoo. Shit, your church does it too. You eating flesh. You drinking somebody's blood. Right? You do communion, right? So how am I, how is something wrong with me? Everybody that's in church should get a check. Matter of fact, I did a research and found out that the highest percentage of people who get SSI checks are in the church. Not all of them, but the highest percentage of people who get SSI checks are in the church. But they should give you checks too for hearing voices. Let me go to a crazy house and tell them I'm hearing voices. They'll lock me up. But let me go to them and say I hear a voice of God. What does it sound like? Is it high pitched? Is it low? Do we sound like Gerald Levert? Did you try to record it? The voice is you. Before you get locked up, that's telling you don't do this with him because it ain't right. That's you. That's your voice. Stop giving credit to something that you don't even know. Give credit to yourself, because when you give credit to yourself, you worshiping yourself. You're giving an energy to yourself. You are the altar. And if you don't put the energy on your altar, then your altar will fall. Everybody have when we talking about everybody got an angel, a guardian angel, everybody has a planet that they are connected to that nobody else can go to. And you have that energy that's waiting for you to tap into it. But as long as you tap into something that they created for you, that Jesus, nothing wrong with the Jesus that you're tapping into. Just make sure that this Jesus don't look like the Jesus that everybody else is worshiping. I was telling my son the other day, he's getting up in age. He's 9 years old. And I told him, don't ever follow anybody. I said, there was once a man who had 10 sheep. And everywhere that man went, those sheep followed. And I said, one day, that man led all of those sheep to this hole. And he told the 10 sheep to jump in. The 9 jumped in, but the 10th one said, nope, I've been following you all my life, but I'm not going to listen to you today. And the sheep turned around and left. I said, that's how you got to be. You have to be the brave sheep, or all those other sheep that say, look, I'm not going to be a fool just because everybody else is following something. Because I could be that one that's sitting back looking at the world, dying of all of this high blood pressure, diabetes, homosexuality in the church going on, right? Sick stuff. I ain't got to be a part of that. And this is what the fallout is of me and my father. Me and my father, he don't talk to me today for whatever reasons, because it's been years, but I told him that this is what I do now. I don't do the church thing. And ever since I told him that, he won't follow. But I'll never do that to my son. Even if my son comes to me and say, Dad, I don't want to take your work further. I don't want to do this. I'm going to support my son. I'll even go into the church with my son because I understand that there is energy in the church that I can utilize, just like that pastor. Just that the people around me, I probably will get more attention than the person behind the pulpit. Not put myself on the pedestal, but even foolish spirits can recognize a brighter light when it's in their presence. That's all I'm going to say. Black Science TV 111, Osei Kufuor, I'm out. Peace.